Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 61 to 65 of chapter 2. Tani sarvani sanyamya,
Tani sarvani sanyamya,
yukta asita matparaha,
yukta asita matparaha,
vashe hi yasyendriyani,
vashe hi yasyendriyani,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
dhyayato vishayan pumsaha,
dhyayato vishayan pumsaha,
sangasteshu pajayate,
sangasteshu pajayate,
sangat sanjayate kamaha,
sangat sanjayate kamaha,
kamat krodho bhijayate,
kamat krodho bhijayate,
krodhat bhavati sammohaha,
krodhat bhavati sammohaha,
sammohat smriti vibhramaha,
sammohat smriti vibhramaha,
smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha,
smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha,
buddhinashat pranashyati,
buddhinashat pranashyati,
ragadvesha vimuktaistu,
ragadvesha vimuktaistu,
vishayanindriyaischaran,
vishayanindriyaischaran,
atmavasyairvidheyatma,
atmavasyairvidheyatma,
prasadamadigacchati,
prasadamadigacchati,
prasade sarvadukhanam,
prasade sarvadukhanam,
हानिरस्योपजायते
हानिरस्योपजायते
प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु
प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु
बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते
बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते.
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So last week we were seeing how the moha, that is delusion, leads to confusion of memory, what he calls as smriti vibhramaha. I had also given you subtler tips regarding moha and how to conquer the moha. So the moment we talk of conquering something, the moment we talk of winning over something, now the ego immediately becomes very happy, it becomes active. So you should understand the spirit behind the statement conquering moha. So when we say I want to conquer moha, the I is standing before moha. The I, which has been completely influenced by the ego. So that is why last week I said the surrender and devotion is the key to going beyond moha. Because whenever you surrender, whenever you get into a spirit of devotion, true devotion, the ego melts away. Actually, if you really see true wisdom, true knowledge, true devotion, and true action, that is karma yoga, all these three are essentially one and the same. When you look at it externally, superficially, they look so different. But essentially they are one and the same, because whether it is karma yoga or bhakti yoga or jnana yoga, there are three different ways by which you tackle your ego. When you do your actions, when you act selflessly, then the ego melts away. In devotion, you surrender, the ego melts away. In jnana, I'm not talking of textbookish knowledge, but when you start developing the true perception of who you are, the knowledge about the infinite aspect within you, the experiential knowledge, then that also melts away the ego. So from a superficial point of view, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga look like three different paths. But if you go a little deeper, you will find there are only three different ways by which you function in that one path, which is removing the ego and raising your consciousness. Because as long as the ego is strong, it will keep you stuck. It will keep you like a slave at a particular level. So you need to be very, very careful. So when the ego starts melting, then automatically the consciousness is freed. That is why they use the word nirvana. Nirvana means freedom, liberation. Moksha is another word used. Moksha means liberation. So what is it that you are getting liberated from? First of all, what is that you? You is that consciousness. And that consciousness is trapped within the realm of ego. Within the realm of thoughts, emotions, attachment, emotions, various modifications like anger, fear, so many modifications, all that which are coming from the ego. And you get into a state of moha. Again, when I say you, I mean the consciousness. So as long as the ego is there, it is impossible to get out of moha. So the way which is suggested is start melting your ego. One of the most effective methods is through surrender, through devotion. Whether you believe in God or whether you don't believe in God, all these things do not matter. Because when a person says, I believe in God, usually he means some person far away from him. It's just a concept which he has gotten into. Devotion means recognizing the functioning of the higher power, the force which is beyond us. So whether you believe in God or not, there are so many things which are there. Actually, almost everything which is happening is actually beyond human effort. Did we create this world? Did we create this body? Consciously, I'm talking about. So when you think of the entire universe, when you think of the various aspects of the world, you find that there is some power, some force which is working meticulously. And the moment you recognize that power, whether you call it nature or whether you call it God, whether you call it Rama, Krishna, all these things do not matter. But it is the inner connection with that supreme power which is beyond your limitations. So the moment you get connected, automatically you bow down. That is the state of surrender. And that surrender will help you go beyond the moha, will help you conquer this moha. So, krodhat bhavati sammoha. And then what we saw was sammohat smriti vibhrama. From that state of delusion, your smriti shakti starts reducing. So smriti is that shakti, that power, that capacity to be alert, that presence of mind, recalling, remembering. So in life, two things are very important. If you want to succeed in your career, in any field, in your chosen field, two things are very essential. One is the knowledge pertaining to that field. If you're a doctor, you should go on increasing your knowledge pertaining to medicine. If you are a lawyer, you should go on increasing the knowledge pertaining to law. Every year, every day, I would say, you should keep upgrading yourself. Whatever be your field, whether it is sports or whether it is law or engineering or medicine, cooking, whatever it is, you should acquire more and more knowledge. And when I say knowledge, I'm not talking of textbookish knowledge, but knowledge which enhances your practical skills, the wisdom. So that is one aspect. The other aspect is smriti shakti. That is your ability to use that knowledge in a given situation. So you may know so many things, but due to stress, you may forget when you need to remember. A classic example of this is a person who knows a lot. Suddenly, when he is asked to address a huge gathering, why huge? Even just a group of about 25 to 50 people, he becomes tongue-tied. His mind goes blank. But the same person, when you go and meet him for tea, just a one-on-one conversation, and then you ask him, he'll be able to tell you so much. So why is it that when he stands up on the stage, suddenly that stage fear comes and he loses the whatever knowledge is there, he loses in the sense that becomes unavailable to him. Why? Because the smriti shakti is covered by the stress, and that stress arises from moha, delusion. So any field you take, these two things are extremely important for you to succeed. If you are not succeeding in your career, if you are not succeeding in whatever field you have chosen today, just look into this. Are you qualified enough? Are you getting yourself more and more qualified every day by gaining a more experiential, skillful knowledge in that field? Number one. Number two, what about your smriti shakti? So when you do sadhana on a daily basis, what happens is both these capacities actually increase within you. Your capacity to gain knowledge, because you become very open-minded. Devotion, one of the aspects of devotion is becoming open-minded. You become very humble. You never get a feeling that I know it all. A person who always feels he is learning, he becomes a master of that field. You go to any person who is accomplished in a particular field, he or she will say, I'm still learning. They will go on improving themselves. Similarly, when you do sadhana regularly, the second aspect, the smriti shakti, will also be activated within you, because you will start coming out of delusion, moha. Your stress, mental stress will start reducing. When your stress reduces, when you're relaxed, whatever knowledge you have, whatever wisdom you have, that is available to you. All your skills are available to you. So you will become 100% present where your body is. Smriti vibhramaha means your mind, your personality is not 100% present where your body is. See, right now you are sitting and seeing me, you're listening to whatever I'm saying. Now, as far as these Sunday discourses are concerned, a lot of higher energy is being invoked. So your focus would have increased. But otherwise, when you're normally doing any activity, what you do is, as you are doing your action, just pause for a few seconds and observe your mind. Where is your mind? You will find that you will start doing that activity. Your mind will also be there. But without your knowledge, the mind will start rambling. It will go to whatever you may have read 1 hour back, or what happened 1 day back to the past, or it may go to the future. Something which is unconnected to whatever you're doing. The problem today is the mind is so powerful that you are not aware of the process. You're a slave to the mind. So the mind just pulls you and goes away. And then after a while again it comes back. So in effect, when you are doing a particular action, your mind is there only around 10% or so. Remaining 90% it is running here and there. So your efficiency reduces. Your productivity reduces. So when the Smriti Shakti is activated, then what happens is, your mind is there where your body is. Whatever action you're doing, you're able to focus fully there. Smriti Shakti is the key to focusing. When you lose your presence of mind, it means you've lost your focus. So this is a small exercise which you can just practice, experiment, with it. That is, whenever you're doing any actions, after about 5 minutes or so, just observe your mind. Suddenly, see, if you plan it, then the mind will become alert. So whenever you're looking, it will focus and fool you. So suddenly you just look at the mind, observe the mind, and you will find that you will be thinking of something else unrelated to what you're doing. Now don't try to forcibly bring the mind. See, when you employ force, you cannot master your mind. The more force you apply, the more the mind will rebel. I am only saying just observe, that's all. As your awareness keeps increasing, and when you do your regular sadhana, you will get that capacity to withdraw the mind, not forcefully but gently. See, when you're picking up an object, you can either pick it up very forcefully like this, or you can pick it up gently. At the physical level, you can understand this. But it's the same thing with respect to the mind also. You can deal with the mind forcefully, or you can deal with the mind in a gentle way. So force is never suggested in spirituality, except in certain cases, like when a person is very highly tamasic, lazy and ignorant and unable to get out of that laziness, that time alone force is applied. See, Hatha Yoga, Hatha means many things, but primarily Hatha means force. So you kind of use a little bit of force to overcome your laziness and do the kriyas, do the asanas and all that. So only in those areas it should be applied. Otherwise, generally speaking, if you try to do things by force, the mind will wait for an opportune moment, for a moment where you are weak, and it will completely pull you away. So any habit which you want to create, do it gradually with an understanding. That will be long lasting. So Smriti Shakti can be increased through awareness. So the various tips which I am giving, like for example, observe your mind suddenly when you're doing an action, just for a few seconds. And last week I gave you that homework. So how many of you did that homework? First of all, do you remember what the homework was? Observing whatever objects are there in your room, and then closing your eyes and recalling, just for a few minutes. Don't go on doing that. Few minutes whenever you get some spare time. These are all very, very good yogic practices, yogic exercises to gain mastery over your mind. So whatever I am giving you, just start practicing them. Spirituality is not theory. Spirituality is practice. So the moha causes the Smriti Shakti to go away. And when the Smriti Shakti goes away, when your presence of mind goes away, see, one meaning of Smriti is confusion. So you get confused. The other meaning I told you is embarrassment. So when the Smriti Shakti goes away, you do various things which you ought not to do, which you will not do normally. You will do things, you will say things which you will not say normally, and then later on you will regret, you will feel embarrassed about it. That is why he is using the word Brahmaha. Brahmaha means confusion. It also means embarrassment. Very, very beautiful word he is using. So when the Smriti Shakti goes away, it leads to confusion, number one. And in that confusion, you will do things, you will say things which you are, which you will be embarrassed about later on. When we did the moha, one of the dimensions we saw mistakes. So a series of mistakes you will make. So sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Then what happens? Smriti bhramshat buddhi nashah. When the Smriti Shakti goes away, then buddhi nashah. Nashah means loss. From confusion of memory, loss of buddhi, intellect. And then buddhi nashat pranashyati. From loss of intellect, total destruction. So we will see that first. What does he mean by loss of intellect? Now, in a very general term, sometimes we say manaha means the emotions and buddhi means thinking. This is a layman's usage. But if you actually go to the Sanskrit meaning of manas, it means more the emotions, it also means intellect. And if you go to the Sanskrit word buddhi, it means intellect, it also means mind. Very interesting. So, throughout the scriptures, they will use buddhi, manas, all these things in different contexts. See, even during our meditation, many times I say, I know that auto-suggestion, I am not this body, I am not this mind with its various emotions and thoughts. So then you may ask, what about the intellect, sir? Thoughts means intellect. What you are calling is intellect, the logical thinking. So that is included in the manas, the mind. So today we will see some of the key aspects of the intellect and how you lose it. That is, when you get into moha, and then when the smriti shakti leaves you, how it leads to the laws of intellect. See, when we study these concepts, don't get fixed with a particular word and a particular concept. The spiritual concepts are very dynamic. Sanskrit language is also a dynamic language, a multi-dimensional language. So, see, the same moha, in one of the earlier verses, one lady had actually sent me, one sadhak has sent me a mail saying that there was a verse earlier in this chapter only, just about 10, 11 verses before. The phrase was moha kalilam, and that time when I explained moha, it was very different from how I had explained moha here. So when I explain moha in that way, understand that aspect, that dimension. When I explain moha in another context, it will be different. In future, the same moha, depending upon the context, I may say a few more things. So don't fix your mind. See, understand every aspect of this wisdom, but don't get fixed with any concept. Actually, if you go to the Upanishads, they use the language of contradiction so that your mind doesn't get fixed anywhere. Because the moment your mind gets fixed somewhere, then you become very fanatic about it. Especially when it comes to God. God is infinite. Infinite means all inclusive. It includes everything and it has nothing also. There itself there is a contradiction. Is God Shunya, zero? Yes. Is God Purna, full, complete? Yes. The Upanishads, he says, that Supreme Being is far, far away from you. And the Supreme Being is very, very near you. He always uses the language of contradiction. So, whenever we study these things, we see the context. In what context has this word been used? So, accordingly, that particular certain dimensions of that word will be applicable. So, essentially, what is buddhi? Buddhi first means intellect. What is the intellect? What are the different aspects of intellect? We will see that today. The second aspect, the second dimension of buddhi is understanding. When something is told to you, it is not how much you are repeating that matters, how much you understand. That is the aspect of buddhi. I still remember a small, there is a boy who was around 7 years old when I was in Delhi. What happened is he was brought, his sister, his younger sister, who was 5 years old, they were brought by their father. And the father had asked me for an appointment, and he had many personal issues and he wanted solutions. So apart from the personal issues, he had some doubts regarding the ego and all that. So when he asked me, I was explaining to him a little bit. And just for about 5 minutes or so, this conversation took place where I just said, when I ask you, who are you? You will give me your name, but that is only your name. That is not you. Then who are you? If you say I'm a human being, that refers to your species. Then who are you? So this is the self-inquiry. Who am I? If you go deep within, finally you will end up with who you are really speaking, and that is the infinite. So this boy who was 7 years old, he asked me, he said, "Sir, can you explain that? What do you mean, who are you?" So now how to explain to this 7-year-old boy? So I just made it like a game. I didn't want to say, no, this is beyond your capacity, now you go and play and all that. The child was asking with so much of enthusiasm. So I said, okay, let's play a game. I'll ask you this question, who are you? And you should give me various answers. He said, yes. I said, who are you? He immediately gave his name. I said, no, that is your name. That is not you. So who are you? Then he thought about it and he said, I am a boy. I said, I am not asking whether you're a boy or a girl. That is referring to your gender, But who are you? Then he thought about it and he said, I am a student. I said, no, that is only your profession. See, you may be a student today, tomorrow you may become an engineer, you may become a doctor. So that only tells you what you're doing, the role which you're playing in life, But that is not you. So the boy was very amazed at this. It was like a fun game, And he said, I am the hand, I am the leg, I am the brain. To whatever extent he could go into, he was saying it. So then finally he asked me, so you tell me, who am I? I told him, see, that alone I will not tell you now. As you grow, you will come to me and I will teach you more. And the boy was okay. But the most interesting part is, I then told them, now you both go and play. Your dad wants to discuss something very important with me. So they said, fine. So they went outside. There was a small garden there, and so they were playing there. So then we were having the conversation, and suddenly I overheard something which is, which the brother and sister, there's a 5-year-old girl and the 7-year-old boy were, the conversation which they were having. So I told this man, sir, 1 second, it's very interesting. Let's just hear what they are talking. The same conversation, that is the game which I had with that boy, he was having with that girl. He was asking, who are you? And that girl gave her name. He said, no, that is your name. And who are you? She said, I am a girl. No, that is your gender. Exactly with the same tone, same words, everything which I had used, he was using. And then the game was, the girl will ask him and he will answer. And the funniest part is, this also they repeated. Finally, you tell me, who am I? No, that you will get to know when, as you grow old and when you do sadhana, you will get to know. That also they were repeating. This entire exercise they were doing, but did they really understand the depth of all those questions and that inquiry? No. It was just a game for them. Two children playing. So when you're saying so many things, what is the level of your understanding? That is the question. So just because that boy has asked those questions now, will you say now he has become a Buddha? He has become a Ramana Maharishi? You will not say that. Because even though he is using those words, the understanding level is very, very minimum. So in spirituality, right at the very first concept, they will tell you, you are not this limited personality, you are that infinite. But what is your level of understanding? That depends upon the awakening of your intellect, buddhi. So initially it will be only 10%. Even all these concepts, when you reflect, it will be 10%, then it will increase to 20, 30. The understanding level will go on increasing. So these are the two levels of ignorance. One is when I say I don't know, then information is given. But next level of ignorance is I know, but I don't understand. So it takes a while for you to do sadhana, for you to gain this knowledge and overcome that barrier of ignorance, which is understanding. The third level of ignorance is beyond the intellect. That is, I know, I understand, but I don't have the experience. In order to get the experience, you will have to go beyond the intellect. For that only the sadhana of nididhyasana has been given. So for the first level of ignorance, that is, I don't know, Shravana was given. Shravana means listening. Listening, reading, that is gaining information. For the second level of ignorance, that is lack of understanding, manana, reflection was suggested. But for the third level of ignorance, I don't have an experience, nididhyasana, which is special yogic techniques by which you imprint these this wisdom in the deeper layers of your mind. That was suggested. So when we talk of buddhi, now I don't know is one level. The other level is I don't understand. So the concept of understanding or not understanding is a part of buddhi, intellect. Then the other aspect of the buddhi is the presence of mind, which we saw during Vibhramaha, the Smriti Vibhramaha. See, Smriti is also a part of the intellect only. But what happens is when you're in moha, first that aspect of the intellect which is Smriti goes away, and then after that the remaining part of the intellect, that also goes away. So buddhi means intellect. What is intellect? We'll see. It means knowledge, information. Whenever you say I don't know, using the intellect you can gain knowledge. The third, it means understanding. I know something, but I have not understood, or I have only understood 50%. Remaining I need to understand. So that is also buddhi. Then presence of mind, which is smriti itself, is an aspect of buddhi. The remembrance, the recalling, memory, all those things. And then there is a very, very interesting dimension of buddhi. Buddhi means returning to consciousness. When you lose your consciousness, the ability to return to consciousness, that is buddhi. That is a very deep dimension of buddhi. I'll cover that also. These things will be very, very useful. See, we commonly use these words, buddhi. You don't have any buddhi, we say. That is and all a very general understanding. Again, we'll apply this thing, like how that boy was using those phrases, who are you, who am I, and all these children were using. Similarly, we use many, many words from the scriptures in a loose way, and we think we understand. There was a man who was a student of the Bhagavad Gita, and he thought he knew everything. Then once in one of the talks, I was explaining what buddhi is, some of these dimensions and a few others also. And when he heard that, he came to the backstage after the talk and he told me, so for many years I have been reading this. I always used to pass it by because I thought Buddhi is something which I know. But today, when I heard your talk, I understood that my understanding about Buddhi is very less. It is a big eye opener. I told him, excellent. This is the starting point of your sadhana, because from now onwards you will start acquiring true wisdom. So we will see these dimensions in depth. First dimension of Buddhi, the intellect. What is the intellect? There are three aspects of intellect, three main aspects of the intellect. The first aspect of the intellect is your power of analysis, your capacity to analyze. Whenever some concept is given, whenever there is a problem, whenever you need to do something, your capacity to see the pros and cons, your capacity to see what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages. Supposing you have to decide, should I do this or not? On what basis will you decide? You need to analyze a bit. These are the advantages, these are the disadvantages. So when you weigh both of them, then only you will be able to come to a right conclusion. That is one of the main aspects of Buddhi. So why are we going through all this analysis? It is for you to gain more clarity. But what is interesting is, in life, either people don't analyze at all or they do over-analysis. In the name of analysis, their mind just takes over. And in an unproductive way, they go on dissecting things. So what is the analysis for? What is the purpose of analysis? That is for decision making. Whenever you have to take a decision, that is when you need to analyze. So when you analyze, it should help you to decide. If you are going on analyzing and then you are not able to decide, you are getting more confused. You are seeing the pros, you are seeing the cons, you are seeing both sides of it, and finally you are not deciding anything, then that is not analysis. That is foolishness. Just the mind taking over. It is a weakness. As in management jargon they call it, they say analysis paralysis. When you go on over-analyzing, that paralyzes your thinking, they say. So that is the second aspect of the intellect. First is analysis. The second is decision making. See, these are all very, very important aspects in you, which when you develop, you will be able to succeed in whatever you're doing. You see, in any field, a person who's successful, even in the field of arts, that person will have these aspects of the intellect awakened in that field. You may ask me, sir, what about singing? Where is the question of analysis? He may not sit and analyze, taking a piece of paper and writing and all. But there is an inbuilt analysis a singer makes. When a raga is told to him, what are the swaras? He makes that analysis. See, there are 7 basic swaras, and then in between those swaras, there are these sharper notes. So, among all those notes, for this particular raga, which notes are applied, in what way? There is an inbuilt analysis which the artist makes. And then there is a decision making. He says, these are the swaras which have to be used in this particular order, it looks nice. Sometimes there are ragas where the swaras are similar, the notes are similar. Swaras means notes. But depending upon how the notes are weaved together, it becomes, they call it that particular raga. Very interesting. So even in music, this is applicable. This has nothing to do with whether it's a field of science or arts, whether it is intellect or whether it is emotions. All these things are required for you in everything, in every aspect of life. When you're working, let us say with a computer, now you may say it is all intellect. No, the person should have passion for the work which he is doing. Unless he has that passion, that emotion, he will not be able to be creative. So, there is nothing like developing an intellect alone, developing the emotions alone. It's not that. Both have to go hand in hand. If anybody says, I'm an intellectual, that's a weakness. That means you're not properly developed yourself. Only one aspect has been developed. Or a person says, I'm emotional. Again, only the emotions have been developed. So, as we go along, when the context comes, different aspects will be given to you. You just keep developing them, and slowly you will become a balanced personality. So the first aspect of intellect is analysis. The second aspect is decision making. Remember, when you are developing your analytical abilities, it is always in order to take a decision. Your analysis should help you take a decision. The faster you are able to decide, it is better. If your analysis is getting you into a confused state where you are not able to decide, then that is not analysis, that is just mind wandering. It's a weakness. When you are crossing the road, it's a small analysis you make. They say, no, turn to your right, left, right. This is in India. In abroad, it may be the reverse, left, right, left, and then you cross the road, they say. Why? Because you're assessing what vehicles are there and you're crossing. That is only going to help you to cross the road. If you're going on looking left, right, left, what are the vehicles, and you're getting frightened and so you're not crossing the road, then what is the use of that exercise, that actions? So when you're developing your analysis, remember, it is only for deciding. It should help you decide faster. So either people don't analyze at all, impulsive decisions they take, or people go on analyzing in the name of analysis, they just mind wandering and they don't decide at all. Both these extremes are wrong. So intellect means, number one, analysis, which is analyzing the pros and cons, and number two, that analysis is in order to decide, decision making. Decision making is a very, very important aspect of buddhi. A person who is able to decide clearly becomes a leader. It's interesting, sometimes the people who are working under a leader, they may be more technically qualified. But then what distinguishes them from their boss, the leader? He or she is able to decide better than the team. If you want to improve your leadership qualities, your decision making should be sharp. Then comes the third aspect of buddhi, which is very important as far as our inner sadhana is concerned, and that is awareness. awareness is a very subtle and I would say the most important aspect with respect to spiritual sadhana, because awareness is what we use in meditation. Analysis, decision making we use at the lower level of sadhana, first in order to deal with the world and then in order to deal with your mind and all that. But when we go to the deeper sadhana, the meditation, analysis becomes an obstacle. Decision making and all, there is nothing to decide. It is awareness which will help you. So that is the third aspect of buddhi. Now, when he says smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha, first dimension of intellect, first dimension of buddhi, which is intellect, when we take, what it means is, once the emotions completely cloud you and you get into a state of moha and you get into a state where the smriti also leaves you, he says the next step is all these three aspects of the intellect will be clouded. A person who is in moha, he cannot analyze properly. He'll be very, very confused, A person who is in moha cannot decide properly. What is interesting is, if you're in moha, the mind can mimic the intellect. It can, the moha can create something which is similar to analysis, which is over analysis or purposelessly just seeing the pros and cons, It can mimic what is true buddhi and not allow you to decide properly. It's very interesting. So when you're in moha, you cannot decide properly. Whatever decisions you make will all be wrong. And when you're in moha, you will lose your awareness. Now I will explain awareness, the role of awareness when we see the last dimension of buddhi, that is returning to consciousness. They are related. But right now, you just understand this. How aware are you in life? You lose that awareness when you get into a state of moha. So, incidentally, if you want to succeed in life, start developing these aspects of your buddhi. So buddhi is not merely cramming up information. That also we'd see. Gaining information is also buddhi. That is the knowledge. But that alone is not enough. You have to learn to analyze clearly. You will have to learn to decide clearly. And that awareness. These three aspects are extremely crucial for your progress, whether it's in the worldly progress or whether it is spiritual progress. Then the second aspect of the intellect is knowledge, your ability to gain knowledge, your ability to gain information. When your buddhi is sharp, your ability to gain information becomes more. See, generally what happens is, after your college, you stop learning. You think education means getting a degree. That is a very shallow understanding of life. Education is a lifelong process. Every day, every minute, we keep learning something. We should learn something. This is what the great Siddha, the great avatar, Dattatreya, he said, be an eternal student, Nitya Shishya. So a person who has awakened the intellect, this aspect of the intellect, he will go on learning. As the great poet Emerson, he said, every man I meet is superior to me in one way, and that I learn of him. So everyone you meet, that person, he or she will know something which you do not know. So you should learn from that. It is not only learning from adults, you can learn from children. Actually, you can learn more from children. The problem is your antennas are not open, you're not open-minded. The moment you know a few things, you close your intellect with that knowledge. Instead, the sadhana which is suggested by the yogis, this is something which this is a practical tip I'm giving you. See, is to use the same knowledge to open your intellect up. See, when you gain some information, for example, I'm telling you about buddhi here. We'll take this example itself. I told you about the three aspects: analysis, decision making, awareness, intellect. Now you can use this information to get into a feeling, now I've understood what the intellect is. Then you're closing yourself. Tomorrow or next week or after 3 weeks, again when I talk about the intellect, you will say, I already know verse number 63. You may not say it consciously, but your deeper mind will get closed. Instead, whenever you get any information, you should use that information as a door to explore more. So when these three aspects have been given, analysis, decision making and awareness of the intellect, those are just three doors. Now what exactly is analysis? What exactly is decision making? What is awareness? You can keep probing by observing yourself. Whenever you analyze, see whether it is over analysis, or is it the delusion which is mimicking it. So your understanding will deepen. You will gain more and more knowledge. As in Tamil they said, Kattradu kaiyalavu, kalladadu ulagalavu. Whatever you have learned is just like, if you take some mud and hold it, that much only. But what you have not learned is vast. So if you have that attitude, every bit of information which you gain, you will not conclude and say, this is it. This is the very spirit of science. The very spirit of science is the spirit of inquiry, not concluding and say, I know everything. Unfortunately today, in the field of science, they just gain a little information and then they become closed. They are not willing to explore any further. That is not the true scientific temperament. So that's why Dattatreya said, be an eternal student. You should never want to become a guru. The world, may call a person a guru, all these great masters. The world only called them masters. The world called them gurus. But what spirit did they have? They were very humble, childlike. They went on learning. So this is a sadhana which you can do. That is, every time you're gaining knowledge, it can be applied with respect to spiritual knowledge, it can be applied with respect to worldly knowledges also. So every time you're gaining information, don't close your mind by getting into a feeling, now I know. Always say, now I begin to know. That spirit, I begin to understand. It's a beautiful quality which you should develop. The more you do that, the more your intellect will become sharp. That aspect, the ability to gain knowledge will become sharp. I'm only giving you the aspects of buddhi, and I'm also giving you some sadhanas to awaken those aspects. And what is interesting is when that aspect of the buddhi is sharp, when you keep go on gaining knowledge, you will never get bored in life. Why does boredom set in? Because you stop learning. This entire world is a laboratory, is a school where you need to learn. Every experience you learn something. When you achieve failure, when you achieve success, you learn something from it. When you get failure in life, you should learn something from that. You should not be the same person. After 10 years also, you have not learnt any lessons. Same mistakes you are making. It means buddhi is not there. Sometimes we go on repeating the same mistake again and again. So, awaken that aspect, ability to gain knowledge. Then the third dimension of intellect is what I was explaining to you, understanding. The internal processing of the knowledge which you gain. So, that is called manana. So, when you do the sadhana, the manana aspect. Manana means the capacity to reflect, the capacity to contemplate. The manana aspect within you will get awakened. See, when you listen to a song, you like it so much, you enjoy it so much. Now I have heard that song, you will close it and go. But next day or in the evening, again when you get a chance, you will play that song and listen. Now you heard it once, then why are you hearing it again? You can't, if you talk logically and say, see, you wanted to hear that song, now you heard it, over. Now why are you hearing that song again? Even though you heard that song, the next time when you hear it, you absorb more of that music. The third time when you hear, you absorb more. How is it that you are listening to Yoga Sankirtan every day, you never get bored? Have I created hundreds of Yoga Sankirtan audio material? No. Right now I've created only 3. I'll be creating a few more. More than enough. Even one is more than enough. But different dimensions will help you so much, That's why I'm creating more. But when you keep on listening to that every day, every time you listen to it, you will absorb more. Now what you need to understand is, it is the same thing with respect to knowledge, intellect also. Every time you hear these truths and you reflect on that, your understanding deepens. A person who is a pseudo-intellectual, just artificial intelligence, that's the right word, artificial intelligence they say, for computers. Because they see, we say when a person has a very good thinking ability, we say he's got computer brain. Please don't take it as a praise. Computer does not have a brain. It cannot think on its own. That is artificial. So, real intelligence is when you combine both these aspects, the ability to gain knowledge and the ability to do manana, reflection. So, a pseudo-intellectual who is just superficial, once he crosses that first barrier, I don't know, he gains some information, then he becomes impatient. He wants some other new information. He is unable to sit with whatever information he has and go deep within and absorb it. That capacity to do manana, reflection, and strengthen or deepen your understanding about the information which you've gained is this dimension of buddhi, the manana. So it is a very, very powerful dimension of buddhi. So first is the intellect, three aspects: analysis, decision making, awareness. Next is the knowledge, the ability to gain more information that comes through openness. The third is the manana aspect, the ability to reflect and understand, deepen your understanding of what you know. It's very interesting. I once met a martial arts master. He was in karate. He had achieved a very high degree of black belt. And what was interesting is he was working towards getting a further higher degree of black belt. So I asked him, so what is the difference between whatever you're doing now and that level? He said something which was very interesting. He said, so external practice wise it is the same only. Actually what he said is, the first day of karate they will teach you how to punch. Now that punch you will be doing it right up to the highest level of black belt also, highest degree. So first day also they teach you to punch. The highest person will also be doing the punch. Then what is the difference? He said the difference is in the way you punch. It's not only the technique, the energy. When you punch, your power can come from here, or it can come from your elbows, or it can come from your shoulders. Power means the pran shakti. They call it the chi energy, or it can come from your hips when you're moving, he said, or they can come from your legs, your toes. That is the yogic concept, taking it from the nadis, Very, very interesting. So as you advance, the same things only you will be doing, but the depth will keep increasing. So a person who does not understand this, he will say, every day I am going to the class, he is only teaching me how to punch. It's boring, he will say. But a person who develops that depth will never find it boring. The same thing again and again, the depth will go on increasing. See, that is a yogic approach. We are doing the same concepts, the same verses again and again and again, every verse. But then why is it that you are not getting bored? Because the depth is being awakened. So that is the understanding part. Then the next dimension of buddhi is the presence of mind, which is smritihi only, which is an aspect of smritihi. The presence of mind, the ability to recall, the ability to remember, all these things. So when you are in moha, the entire intellect will not go away at one go. First, the smritihi aspect will go away, and then the rest of the intellect also will be taken away. It is like this. When you want to pull someone, you will not catch hold of that person's whole body and pull. You will just catch hold of his hand and you will pull. As the hand is going, the rest of the body also will be pulled. So the moha first pulls the smritihi, which is an aspect of the intellect only, the buddhi. And then the other aspects of buddhi are also pulled away. So smriti bhramshat buddhi nashaha. You pull the shoulder and it pulls the rest of the body. You pull the smritihi, that pulls the rest of the buddhi. So buddhi is a very, very powerful shakti you have. You have very many shaktis. One is buddhi, out of which smriti is a small aspect of buddhi. Then you have the power of emotions. When the emotions are under your control, that gives you tremendous strength. But when they go out of your control, you lose your strength. So in verse number 62, he gave you the power of the emotions. In verse number 63, he is telling you the power of the intellect. Intellect is so powerful. And when that goes away, he says there is total destruction. That is why verse number 62 is one half, verse number 63 is the second half. That deals with the emotions, this deals with the buddhi aspect. Beautiful division he has made so that you gain complete clarity. So we'll stop with this today. I've given you a lot of points to reflect upon, and it's not merely reflecting. You observe in your life, out of all these aspects of buddhi, what are the aspects which you already have, and what are the aspects which require improvement. And what you have also, you be careful. Like you may say, I analyze very well. Is your analysis productive? Is it helping you to decide better, or is it taking you to a state of confusion? If it's not helping you to decide, then that is not analysis. So don't fool yourself. So but through self-observation, you can understand what is buddhi. So this is not mere textbookish knowledge, but you need to now see the functioning of buddhi within yourself, all these aspects. Then only you will gain that wisdom. So do that homework, do the reflection, I would say self-introspection, self-study. Swadhyaya means swa-adhyaya, study of one's own self. The other dimension of buddhi, which is returning to consciousness, I will cover it next week, because that is a very powerful dimension. And from there, when we go to the next phase, which is laws of intellect, total destruction, it's a beautiful flow which he has created, So we'll see that next week. So before we get into the meditation, I have a few announcements regarding the 22-day program. So the first announcement is, I had mentioned to you last week that I have received instructions in my meditation to give you more. So this 22-day course, each session, I'll be increasing the time a little bit. So that it will vary from 2 hours to maximum of 2.5 hours. This is something which I told you. So many people have asked me whether the timing of the course can be shifted to 5:30 a.m. Right now I had kept it as 6 to 8. So the reason which they were saying is so that they will have enough time to finish and then do some stretches and all that, and then go for office work. So we have decided to shift the time from 6 to 5:30. So from 5:30 the program will start. Those of you who want to tune in at 6 a.m. also can do so. So that is your convenience. I told you each recording will be kept for the whole day because of different time zones. People from different parts of the world are watching. So for those of you who would want to go to office early, this will help. So we have just advanced the whole thing by half an hour. But those who want to watch it at 6, you can watch it. It's the same thing only as far as you are concerned. The empowerment, the energy, everything will be there. So one lady has asked me, "Sir, the recording of it, will I get the same energy?" Of course. See, that way Yoga Sankirtan audio material, I recorded it only once. Every day when you're listening, I'm not singing for you live. But aren't you getting the energy? Actually, the energy increases as you do your sadhana, isn't it? See, this is the secret of the yogis. See, your concept is very limited. You think the master has to be in front of you, live. So many concepts we have. But no. See, the Bhagavad Gita was given 5,000 years back. We are reading that. The energy just hits you when you read it. So don't confine the sadhana, don't confine your guru to these kind of limited concepts. Whatever system he sets, just go with the flow. You will gain immense benefits, you will gain so much of energy. Okay, so that is one important announcement. The second announcement, the volunteers, the organizers, they've asked me to inform this to you all. That is, last week I told you the fast speed internet connection is important. So go for a broadband or fiber net or something like that. So that high speed connection you have, that is a must. And in future, I think we are going to have more online programs. So without these fast high speed internet connectivity, you will not be able to watch this in a smooth way. The second thing is, if in case you're using your mobile data plan, this is what they were saying. If you're using your mobile data, just make sure that your internet plan, that is data plan, is more. See, generally your data plan may be 1.5 GB per day, which means up to 1.5 GB it will come at a high speed. But after 1.5 GB is over, then the speed will reduce. So go for a higher plan, probably 3 GB or even a little more higher also would be better for these 22 days program, I'm saying. They are saying it is better to use a minimum of 3 GB plan. So that you take care, because last time during the Yoga Sankirtan empowerment, a person had gone in for, was using this 1.5 GB plan, mobile data plan, that was over, and then he was having these buffering issues. So he gave a call, and when they helped him solve it, they said, no, you check your plan. And then when he checked it, he said yes. So from next day, he increased the plan, he had no issues. So all these tips will help you to minimize the problems, the problems which we usually face in online sessions, so that your experience will be as smooth as possible. So more things about the 22 days I'll tell you as we go along. Some of these points I've asked them to note down, and then they will also be sending to that WhatsApp group which has been formed for all the registered participants. So they will be posting it there just as a revision, as a reminder, so that you clearly follow these instructions. Okay, and the other thing which I told you last week about doing your physical exercises, your kriyas, please don't neglect them, because this 22-day program is going to be high-powered meditation sadhana. It's very difficult to quantify it in words. Each day, every day is going to be a healing plus empowerment, and so much of wisdom is going to be given. So the balancing of that is very important. Okay, so now we'll do meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. Breathe in a very, very relaxed way. With every breath, I'm going deeper and deeper into myself. I am not this body. I am not these various emotions. I am not these various thoughts. I am that Supreme Consciousness. I bow down to this power of buddhi, the buddhi shakti within me. The various dimensions of the buddhi, they are all getting activated. The power of analysis, the power of decision making, the power of awareness, the power or ability to gain more knowledge, the power of deepening my understanding through manana, reflection, the smriti shakti, the power of remembrance and recalling, the presence of mind and alertness, I am one with that supreme power, the infinite consciousness. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back, wriggle your fingers, your toes, rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, your cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. And very slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So today we had another powerful and deep session. This wisdom is like an ocean. And as and when the context comes, I'm just revealing as much as possible. But the dosage is also very important. So the time which you get between these sessions, use it for reflecting on these concepts and how they can be applied in your life, how they are directly applicable within you. Like today we saw the various aspects of buddhi. So how the buddhi is right now functioning within you. Your understanding will be limited to start with, but when you put this effort, when you do this sadhana, the internal sadhana, that will increase your capacity and awaken all these powers, the faculties within you. This entire ancient wisdom is a beautiful package or a beautiful system to awaken your inner personality to its fullest potential, So follow all these, and the people who have registered for the 22-day program, do your daily sadhana, the exercises, the morning and evening preparatory meditations which I have given you, and get prepared with the high-speed internet access, all those things which were told, so that in the last minute you don't need to get tense about anything. Okay, so we'll meet next week. Thank you very much.